Apologies, Your Honor. Now, to begin with, Dr. Warren, your expertise in the fields of linguistics, that's led you to have a substantial partnership with the Midland State Police Academy, correct?
Yes, it's led to me lecturing and educating their law enforcement cadets and officers.
That's right. You routinely lecture at the Midland State Police Department.
Yes.
You even have a published book that is a standard text at the Midland State Police Department.
Along with many other police academies, yes.
But that one specifically, correct?
Yes.
And you are aware that Officer Mickey Keenan is in fact a member of the Midland State Police Department?
Yes.
And you're aware of this fact because you reviewed the affidavits of Officer Mickey Keenan and Executive Assistant Corey Hyde, correct?
Yes, I examined those.
And you're also aware of an email exchange that occurred between Officer Mickey Keenan and Executive Assistant Corey Hyde?
Yes.
Now, in your own words, coaching was a concern between Mickey Keenan and Corey Hyde, wasn't it?
Yes, coaching is a concern. In this case, however, the coaching that was provided did fall in line with the best practices in terms of structuring that conversation the next day.
Is it? Now, Dr. Warren, do you remember filing a report?
Yes, I do.
You remember that this report would be used in court today?
Yes.
Permission to approach opposing counsel with a copy of the report of Dr. Reese Warren. May I approach the witness?
You may.
Now, Dr. Warren, this is section F. Now, Dr. Warren, I would like you to find anywhere in section F of that specific...
Lack of foundation, Your Honor. They need to lay foundation as to what report this is and if it is actually Dr. Reese Warren's. Sustained.
Yes, Your Honor. Dr. Warren, is this your report?
Yes.
Could you please flip to the back page? That is your signature at the bottom, is it not?
Yes, that is my signature.
That is your name?
Yes.
So this is the report that you created for today's case?
Yes.
And now, Dr. Warren, could you please find anywhere within this specific section, of course, where it says that the best possible practices were used in relationship to coaching? Could you please find where it says that for the court today?
It doesn't say that expressly in this question, however, expressly in this section. However, that is because earlier in the report it does mention that the best practices were used in regards to topics that were already brought up, such as sweetening the pot, which is a portion of this section.
But Dr. Warren, redirecting you back to my question, within this specific statement, within this specific section of your report, nowhere does it say anything about the best possible practices being used as a relationship to coaching.
Correct.
Thank you, Dr. Warren. May I approach the witness?
You may.
Now, Mickey Keenan provided Corey Hyde with numerous topics and phrases for the conversation that occurred on April 13th of 2015.
During that email exchange, 2 topics were provided to Corey Hyde by Mickey Keenan.
That's correct. And one of those topics in that email specifically says, word for word, that at some point you may want to suggest to Avery to do something to sweeten the pot. That is what the email says, correct?
Yes, and again, that is a subtle hint of criminal activity, which does fall in line with the best practices. I laid out before you on direct.
However, that is what it says, correct?
Yes.
And later on the meeting that occurred on April 13th of 2015, Corey Hyde explicitly interrupted Bancroft to say, you should do something to sweeten the pot, right?
Yes, again, that's the subtle hint that was supposed to be dropped.
And in this email exchange, Mickey Keenan makes a clear point to tell Hyde that it is very important that this statement comes from Corey Hyde and not Mickey Keenan, correct?
Yes.
And later on, this email also states word for word that Avery needs to realize that someone needs to be made happy, and that someone is Chase Covington, correct?
Yes, again, that is another subtle hint.
And on the meeting that occurred on April 13th of 2015, Corey Hyde asked, who do we need to make happy to Officer Mickey Keenan, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And then Mickey Keenan pivoted off that statement and repeated, who do we need to make happy multiple times during that conversation, correct?
Yes, again, you're allowed to drop multiple subtle hints of criminal activity throughout your conversation.
But redirecting you back to my question, that is what happened, isn't it?
Yes.
Hyde spoke a total of 7 times during that conversation, didn't he?
Yes, that is correct.
57% of the conversational topics that were brought up on the meeting on April 13th of 2015, those topics of conversation came from Officer Mickey Keenan and Executive Corey Hyde, didn't they?
Yes.
And 2 of the specific things that he stated, Corey Hyde stated, during this email exchange came directly from this email, didn't it?
Yes.
This, in your own words, was textbook coaching, wasn't it, Dr. Warren?
Yes, as I already said.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.